Hello, today we're working with Unit 13, inversion. We'll start here with this Word document and then we'll go to our typical, oh no, not here, there, our dictionary, right? As we usually do, right? So inversion is something that seems very natural for native speakers, right? They do this virtually without noticing. And it is a way of giving prominence to a sentence, or rather to what a sentence is communicating, right? And we abandon the usual order of words. And we do this in kind of inversion, which is the same that we do for question making in English, right? Do you like dancing, for example, right? Where were you? Something that is very simple for you. Now, what we're going to see is that English has this, uses this stylistic device in very specific circumstances, and this is when there's a negative word at the beginning of the sentence, and this is what seems to create this knock-on effect that eventually leads to inversion. So I'm going to read the first example we have here on page 71. Not only did he fail to report the accident, but also later denied that he had been driving the car. I would insist that there doesn't seem to be a very good reason, right, for inversion, right? So remember that basically what we're doing is to give prominence to a certain part of the sentence, and that we need a negative particle at the very beginning. Though we will see exceptions, you can already see them here. Because when I start the sentence with not only, I do have inversion. Not only did he fail, but if not only is in the middle of the sentence, then inversion does not take place. I feel not only tired, but also happy. No problem. Not only was I tired would be not only was I. So, well, this is not a very clever sentence, but anyway, we see the inversion, right? We see inversion at the very beginning, with not only at the beginning of the sentence, right? And this creating the knock-on effect that causes inversion. We also know that we use inversion with never, right? Sorry, my example for never is in number 1. The numbers in this section are out of whack, right? So they do seem to follow a kind of order, but I don't really understand it. Usually then never creates this knock-on effect in the sentence, right? So never have I enjoyed myself more. Never further ahead in your notes, never have I heard a weaker excuse, right? So never at the beginning is prompts inversion. And notice that we use the present perfect naturally, because that's the natural verb form for never, right? Because it refers to something that started in the past, that didn't exist in the past in this case, because it is never up to the present. Now, if you go here with me, look at these examples. Never Let Me Go, which is the name of a novel by Kazuo Ishiguro. By the way, it was made into a film if you want to watch it. Never Tell Me What to Do, Never Walk Behind Me. So, behind me, sorry. Now, no inversion, right? Actually, when never means don't, right, we don't use inversion. So be very careful. And this begins to show you what the problem is here. Actually, never is modifying let only. And when it modifies, or it refers only to the verb, then inversion disappears, right? And now this not only actually refers to the whole phrase. Not only was I tired, right? Okay. Point number 2 in your notes talks about changing the normal order when an adverbial is placed at the beginning, as in along the street came a strange procession. Opposite stands a great gate. In went the procession, out marched the children. Bang went the door. At the top of the hill stood the church. Here lies his body. On the grass sat an enormous frog. There goes your brother. Here comes Freddy. Next is the news. Now, look, this would be the normal order, would be the news is next, right? You can see clearly there has been inversion, and this is the adverbial at the beginning, right? But we say off we go, in she walked. There seems to be something about using the subject as a pronoun that changes that, because out marched your mother is possible, but out she marched, right? Okay, so let's move on to point number 2, starting with words like rarely, seldom, hardly ever, never. All of them negative adverbs that prompt inversion. So following your notes, rarely can a minister have been faced with such a problem. Seldom has the team given a worse performance. Rarely had I had so much responsibility. Hardly ever have I had a problem like that, and I am now inventing a sentence. Never also would fit here, right? It belongs in this group, and also does no sooner, right? But notice that we also use the present perfect all the time, right? Because rarely, seldom, hardly ever, never are words that colligate with the present perfect. What do we mean? Well, they refer to, once again, situations, actions that start in the past but connect with the present. Now, let's have a look at point number 3. And, wait, before we move on, I have my exception. Rarely seen during the day, the badger is famously shy. No inversion. Hardly anyone knows about it. Now, I'm showing you words that we saw prompting inversion, like rarely and hardly. But now, the words actually, once again, modify the word next to them, not the whole phrase. So rarely seen and hardly anyone, right? So that's why there is an inversion in these cases. Now, if we move on to point number 3, you'll find another set of words that are very similar: hardly, scarcely, and no sooner. Now, there's 2 things I want to say. No, 3 actually things I want to say. Let's make sure I do that. First, hardly one thing happened when something else happened means that the 2 actions were very, very close in time, right? There's a sense of immediacy here, right? Immediacy with double M, but we pronounce only one, right? Immediacy. So right after, right? The second thing I want to say is that there is a connection between the adverbial form and the conjunction we use. Hardly and scarcely go with when, no sooner goes with than. Now, a mnemotechnic rule is no sooner is the comparative, it takes than. That's very easy, right? Now, you should know that native speakers do get confused, right? I mean, this is kind of a rule. It should be like that, but we all get it wrong. And actually, you will find a couple of mistakes. I don't know if it's a couple or maybe more or maybe less in the activities in this unit. So I told you about immediacy, I told you about the conjunction, and now I want to tell you about the tense. So 3 things I said, right? Yes, we use the past perfect, right? You may find uses with the past, but actually you have 2 actions in the past. You want to tell one came first and the other one was right after that one. So hardly had the train left when we did something, right? That's a pattern. Now let's have a look at only now, right? We have a look at only, and you can see that I have actually created kind of 2 columns: only after, only when, and only if, only later, only when, only in this way, or only with patience. And I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about, maybe you want to stop the video now, to think about why I grouped these sentences like this, or beginnings of sentences, I should say. Well, it seems that in order to finish these sentences in the first column, right, in the left-hand column, I need to say something before inversion. That is not the case here. So only after we finished dinner did we, I don't know, go out, right? Only when we had finished dinner, we won't go out. Sorry, only when, I didn't use inversion, right? Only when we were ready did we go out. Only if we have money will we go out, right? Now, only later did we realize that blah, blah, blah. Only then did we realize that. Word wants me to use American spelling, right? Only in this way can I be happy, right? Only with patience. Now, what did I mean by all this? Well, actually, after is a preposition, so I need to finish the phrase, the prepositional phrase. I need to complete it before I have inversion. Only after we finished dinner. And I could have said only after dinner, and I could have even said only after we had finished dinner. And actually, after is functioning as a conjunction here because we have a clause and a verb. But what I want to say is that, well, you will find a verb actually within the clause that is started by after, when, and if. But that verb will not be inverted because it is within that clause that is inserted here, right? So only after something did we go out. Only when something did we go out. Only if something will we go out, all right? Now, so this is about only, and of course in these cases, because later, then, and in this way are finished in a sense, right? Later and then are adverbs, so they can stand on their own, and then I have inversion right afterwards. But, once again, but, right? But what? Well, only Mary, only a machine, only the weather, no inversion, right? Only Mary can come. Marianne, okay. Only a machine can solve this. Only the weather can make me, right? So only is actually, as we showed here earlier, never with let and rarely with seen. Only here is modifying Marianne, a machine, and the weather, right? Not the rest of the sentence. So there's no inversion, right? Now, if you turn the page, you go to page 72, you have the example here. Only Mary realized that the door was not locked, right? Now, point number 5 is about other phrases that prompt inversion, like under no circumstances, on no account, at no time, in no way, on no condition. And I should say that all of these mean basically no, a big no, right? And then followed by inversion, like not until and not only, right? You have some examples there. Well, also I wanted to show here that we use the present perfect, right? Not since I was little have I had so much fun. Not for 1 minute do I imagine you like me. This is another phrase, right? This wasn't there. Not for 1 minute. Not long after she got married. What happened, right? Not long after that she got married. So in some cases I don't use inversion, right? No, not far from here is the museum, but not far from here you can see the museum. So here there is inversion and here there isn't. No doubt many of her admirers were upset. So well, in this case it is clear that no modifies doubt, right? So there won't be inversion. But in these other cases, it seems that these are not fixed as regards inversion. The others are. Yes, when you start a sentence with under no circumstances, on no account, at no time, in no way, on no condition, there will be inversion, right? Well, for point number 6, I just wanted to add, you have the example for little. Little does the government appreciate. Little is typical for inversion. And there's also nowhere. Nowhere has a replacement been found. So you should add nowhere to this list. Now the next point is the use of so and such with inversion, which is very, very interesting. So devastating were the floods, right? The floods. So devastating were the floods. So you can see inversion here when so is at the beginning, right? The same happens with such, and usually we ask you to try and change a so sentence into a such sentence. And you see how you need to do this. You will follow such with the verb to be, such was, but you will need a noun. Such was the devastation caused by the floods, that blah, blah, blah. Now, this isn't always possible given the language actually, right? Because sometimes we can turn this adjective into a noun, but sometimes we can't, right? In the other example you have here on page 72, such was the force of the storm that trees were uprooted. Well, if you were to start with so strong was the storm that the trees were uprooted. All right, the next point shows you the use of conditionals that we saw in Unit 8, remember? And these phrases that express something is very unlikely. Were they to escape? Were the police to have found? Should you hear? Should he have cheated? Had I known, right? Let me emphasize where the police to have found out. Now we're using where for two reasons, mainly because this is a subjunctive, and remember that we have said that we use where for all persons, but also because police is always plural, right? So you couldn't have used was the people, never, right? Okay, one final point is the use of as and. Oops, let's see, I'm gonna, so we can see all. The use of as and like. What these two sentences at the very bottom of page 72 are telling you is that we need to use as with the verb or the auxiliary, right? We were short of money, as were most people in our neighborhood. I thought, as did my colleagues, that the recession would soon be over. Now think about these sentences, and possibly you want to use something different. You want to say something different. Probably you want to say like most people, right? Like my colleagues. Now, like, here we get to the typical problem of as and like. Like is a preposition most of the times, and as is a conjunction. So as should be followed by a verb, whereas like should be followed by a noun phrase, right? So that's why I suggested here, like most people, like preposition, most people, noun phrase. As were most people, so as conjunction, I need the verb and the subject. And I use inversion in this case, right? As were, as did most people. Now remember that as and like, as I said, like mostly a preposition, as mostly a conjunction, but like your mother, I don't want to do that. As your mother, I don't want you to do that. So like your mother, like is a preposition, noun phrase, and as here is a preposition too, as your mother. But notice that the meaning, is different, right? Like your mother, so I agree with your mother. As your mother, I am your mother. So in the role of, right? Well, sorry, we got sidetracked here because the point was to actually work with this as where most people, right? Now I would like to take a quick tour of the dictionary. Sorry, not this one. The dictionary doesn't really explain inversion, so we're gonna omit that. But I wanted to show you some phrases with never. The dictionary gives you, like, never before has English cuisine been so stylish, and never in all my life have I seen. Notice that here you have another, let's say, a phrase that makes never more specific, right? So inversion follows that, right? Then also I wanted to show you rarely, right? And notice that whenever we use rarely at the beginning, the dictionary says formal. Rarely has a debate attracted so much media attention, right? Seldom, literary, it says now, seldom had he seen such beauty. And it does look infrequent in spoken English, right? Now, for hardly anyone has bothered to reply. Now, this is the example of the exception, right? Because hardly modifies anyone. Then you have the difference between hard and hardly, which I strongly recommend you check out. And then this interesting point for grammar point, sorry, for hardly and scarcely. And we go to the inversion case, hardly, scarcely. Had we sat down, when? Remember, hardly with when. Now let's go to account, because actually I wanted you to see on no account. I thought this was here. Just give me a second. Oops. Fast fingers, right? No, it seems it's not here. Well, maybe it was in the next one. Let's see. Ah, it says account. That's why. So just a second. Just a second. Yes. On no account here is here at the bottom. Sorry about the delay. On no account should the house be left unlocked. And this is not for any reason, right? Also, by the way, on your account and on somebody's account, on account, these are very interesting phrases, right? I hope you check them out. Little, actually here, the first one is an adjective, so we're going to go here, which is the adverb. And you will find the typical example with little at the beginning. Little did I know that this spelled the end of my career, right? Notice spelled regular form rather than spelled, but because it is more normal here. Little did I know, right? Little did I know. So I was surprised to hear that. And then I wanted to show you as a preposition, but remember that as can be an adverb and a conjunction, and you get all the role meanings, right? As clowns, as a package, as a courier, as a friend, and so on and so forth. And you have the example as a conjunction. Let me see if I put it here. Yes, as a conjunction. Well, as you were out, right? As she is new. And as you know, happy as they were, right? So again, with inversion here, right? Okay, that will be all. I hope you have enjoyed inversion. It's not really difficult. All the activities are very good, so please work on all of, well, no, activity 4 is not a good idea, right? And activity 8 is a bit difficult once again because we don't have the words that fill in the blanks, but well, it's also difficult. So thank you very much. That's the end. Bye.